When did you first realize that you could see the world in a mathematical sort of physics type way?
Yeah, I mean, I should be clear. I'm not Neo. Yeah? It's not like I walk around and just sort of see numbers every. I think I mostly process the world the same way as other people. I think where it comes in is really just pattern recognition, where you start seeing the overlaps in patterns, just more and more in life across different things, and it becomes an almost instinctual thing. I mean, there's plenty of people I think who have this mathematical intuition. If you think about like a game like football, I remember I went to Barcelona once on holiday, and I had the pleasure of seeing Lionel Messi play at Nou Camp. And this guy, because when you watch him on TV, you see all of the highlights, and he looks like he's just all over the place. In real life, he is the laziest footballer you could ever imagine. He spends the entire time just strolling. And then every once in a while, you just see like almost like his eyes just light up, and everybody else on the pitch doesn't have the same reaction, but he does, and he can just spot something. It's like a pattern that he sees, and all of a sudden he just starts jogging, and he starts sprinting, and the ball will come to him, and he scored 3 goals in the game that I watched. And so anyway, I think but his gift there is really being able to recognize patterns. And in this, I mean, in football, they're actually literally geometrical patterns, right? But I think that it applies to a lot of other things as well. And as you learn more and more maths, the more and more patterns that you build into your repertoire, and then you can sort of make those connections, and even every once in a while use them to predict what's going to happen a step ahead.
But do you think that everybody has that ability, or do some people just not have that ability to sort of understand maths to that level and to see those patterns? Can you really teach it, or is it something that someone has to have the natural ability already?
So, I mean, I should first of all say I'm not like a neurobiologist or anything like that. So, and I know that there are people with specific conditions that make these things quite tricky, or trickier. But I think even in those cases, it's a bit of a continuum. My general view is that it is something that, 90% of the population can learn mathematics to a very high level. Not everyone in the world is going to be Einstein, just because, there's different. I think they probably saw some slight differences, but I do think that pretty much everyone with the right conditioning, and who, especially if they had good teachers along early on, could have all done mathematics at university if that was their choice.
Wow.
And so it's really, I mean, like it's like anything, isn't it? I mean, it's building that curiosity, and attaching some meaning to it. I think a lot of people don't I think a lot of people don't dig maths because either they can't see what's going on, or there's no meaning attached to it. It just seems completely pointless and abstract. And I think a lot of the point of this book was to provide a visual to a lot of the maths and physics. I mean, the upper world literally is a metaphor for four-dimensional space-time, right? It's a way that you can see this principle that you'd otherwise have to endure through through looking at equations. And then I think the other thing was is meaning, right? Sort of like the upper world doesn't just exist as like a construct. It matters to Re and Esso. And so you're also more invested in learning more about it. So that's really the trick I was trying to pull off a little bit with the book. But I think the other reason why I'm so convinced on maths is just because I started out when I was young. I was really bad at maths, and I was just very lucky to have. It wasn't even a teacher; it was actually a caretaker at my school, who kind of saw I had some potential interest and kind of fed that curiosity, and then I became good at maths. And so I've gone through that thing that I think a lot of people doubt exists. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. It's sort of, it's one of those things I'd love to go back and kind of do it all again and really get my head around it. But it's just when you hear people talking about how patterns and maths and how you can see things. I mean, and a lot of people say, don't they, that I don't know whether you are musically, quite often people who are really good at maths are also very good at music because of the patterns and the repeats and that knowledge of understanding how things go together is often together, or art even. A lot of mathematicians are often good at arts,
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think it's the patterns, and also thinking in abstractions, right? Sort of being able to think through things that you can't see and touch and feel. And maths is like this whole language that exists in an abstract way that, you know, if you're very good, you can go really deep into this kind of like down the rabbit hole. But I think, you know, poets do the same thing. I mean, I think when you're talking about emotions and love and hate and all those sorts of things, those are also abstractions that we've created to describe things, almost like metaphors for things in the real world. You can't touch love, you know, you can't sort of see hate visibly. But yeah, so I think it's abstract thought, and we're all very, very capable of that. Maths just demands a bit more structure in the way you do that.